All right, so here we are. Thanks to our amazing friends at Corsair, we're building the gaming machine. So we've got our 4000D case from Corsair. We've got our cooler, power supply, and some extra fans to chuck in here as well. And then from our friends at Aorus, we've got the motherboard as well, so the X870 Aorus Elite Wi-Fi 7. And then from our friends at PNY, we've also got the M2 drive, as well as the RAM. So we've got some 32 gig DDR5 6400 RAM. So we've got everything in there, and my existing 4090 as well. So we're going to put it all together and then build a brand new gaming machine. So let's get into it. Let's start with, let's get this case off here. All right, so one thing I do like with these cases is you unscrew the things and they've got this little nub on them. So when you unscrew them, they just sit there. So you don't have to drop them off or lose them or anything like that. They'll just sit there in the case, which is nice. All right, let's take this tape off so we can get the other panel out of there. Let's take the bottom one off. So that's where the power supply goes in there. So we've got power supply. We've already, this case also has 3 case fans already fitted in there. So we've got some of them. We've also got the LX120 IQ Link fans that we'll also chuck in at the bottom, just above this. So we can take that off. We can take the glass off as well. A little bit of pressure. We can open it off, and then it comes off. So it hooks on the front. It's got 3 hooks there. You can see those hooks. So they hook on in there, and then it just hinges down. So we've got 3 built-in fans at the front, which are part of the case. And then what we'll do is we'll see if we can fit some other ones in there. So we might put 2 of the 3 down the bottom here, and then 1 up the top here as well. So we'll see how it goes. All right, so before we chuck the motherboard in, it does have some pre-filled in mounts that you can attach the motherboard to. So it does have little initials next to them, like an A, an M, or an I, and an E. So the A is for an ATX motherboard, so you'll see A's everywhere. They're the mounting points. M is the M ATX, so a mini ATX motherboard, and I is for the ITX, which is the real small ones, and then an E ATX as well. So you can put all sorts of motherboards in there. So just look out for the initials on the different mounting points, which ones you need to use, and that's where you put the motherboard. So let's grab our motherboard and we'll put it in. Now we've got our motherboard, here it is. So we'll fit this into the case. Nice and gently. I usually look through the little mounting point, so you can see these silver circles there. I usually look there to see if I can make sure I can see the actual mounts. And as long as I can see them, looks like it's in the right spot. So that other silver one's right in the middle, it's there. So everything else will line up, and then we'll just grab the screws and attach it. One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to over tighten the screws either. So you want to just put them in so they fit, and then you just go, usually just like a cross pattern to tighten them up. So we've got the motherboard sitting there. We haven't mounted it yet. The parts will be in the box. So if you have a different case, always check your case. This will have all the accessories in here. So while we're going through the 4000D case, we've got all our bits and pieces here. So we've got some cable ties, various different screws and things for the motherboard and for the power supply and all that kind of stuff. Usually you get more than what you need. There's other mounts for the motherboard if you need them as well. But for the most part, you get a whole bunch of stuff, cable ties, screws, and you get a whole bunch of spares as well. So we've got them. These are our connectors for the front panel. And then there's a bracket as well. So we don't need those just yet, so we can put them aside. And then we've got another seal. I think this is for if you want to put a different front. So we've got the mesh front, and then this is just another bracket for the fans as well. So we just need the screws. Spring-loaded ones, you'll see these are for fans. So there's like a coil, they're spring-loaded they're spring-loaded screws. You use those for case fans if you see those types of screws. Got all our screws there, so let's start screwing them in. Quick test. Doesn't look like it's going to move, so you don't need to tighten the screws for the motherboard super tight, because otherwise if you tighten them too much it can bend the motherboard and then it can break. It can cause other issues. Got our motherboard in place. We're going to put the power supply in. So we've got the back cover off. So here's the power supply. So we're going to mount it fan facing down, obviously power facing out, and then we've got the connectors on this side. So we're going to chuck it on the bottom, we'll mount it, and then we'll be on to the next one. All right, so we'll just slide it in the bottom here. Now, you go from the back side of it, so through the solid case end, not from the glass end, so then it can slide in. So we'll slide that in the bottom there. Come over this side. Make sure it all lines up the way it's supposed to. Nice. And then we'll mount it, and then we can flip it back and continue on. So the cables we're going to use to connect the motherboard, so you want to get the big one. This big one connects into the motherboard, and then the others go into the power supply there. So you need that big one that goes in. And then for the ports that are at the top here on the motherboard, we've got these ones. So this just clicks in, and this cable's actually got, I haven't seen this before, so on this power supply you get these cables where this will move. So what you can do is you can slide these little things down, and then you can lock the connectors in place, and that way they don't move. So then we've got our 8-port to plug into the top motherboard here, and then we're good to go. So let's connect those up, and then we'll move on to the next bit. All right, so we've got our motherboard cable in here, running down the back and down into the power supply there. We've got our other motherboard cable up here to power up there, running down the back. There's some built-in Velcro straps for the cable management as well. So we'll tidy it up later on. So we'll just get the stuff in and then it's ready to roll. So we've got power there. We can now put in the CPU and the cooler. What we want to do is, before we mount the new cooler, we need to take off the existing brackets here. So it's an AM5, so we've got to take these brackets off. The cooler itself has got a built-in Intel one, so we've got to take that off as well. So we'll take that off, we'll take these off, and then we'll put the new bracket on. So this one here is the AMD one. So we'll take this apart, put it on the cooler, and then we'll mount it in there. We've taken those out. So now we can put the new bracket on the cooler, and then we can put that on. So first, what we need to do is put the CPU in there. So let's open that guy up, and then we'll get it ready. So to mount the new AMD one, so you can have it that way. So you've got the pipes on the side, and then they'll just slide in like that, and then just push it in, and it'll slide in. And then the other one, just on the bottom as well. That will slide right in as well. There we are. So they both line up. So then we've got the new AM5 bracket on there. So now we can mount that on there. But first, we better put the CPU in. So let's do that next, and then we can put this on. Okay, so first thing we want to do, we can take out the little other bracket thing. All right, so we can undo it. And we want to lift this guy up and take out the new 9800X3D. Be very careful. There's an arrow up here. So when there's an arrow up there, there's an arrow up here on the CPU. So you just match the arrow to the arrow, and that's how you mount, that's how you fit the CPU into the socket. So we'll just gently place it in. Hopefully we don't get any of our other stuff on there. Okay, once that's in, we can close the door, lock it in place, and it's in. Okay, so we've got the new CPU in. So we've got the existing mounts. So then we can mount the cooler. So we're going to put the cooler at the top here. So to mount the cooler, we've got to take the top of the case off here. So we've got to take this off so we can get to the bracket under there. So we'll mount it on there, and then we can feed it through. So we do have two different types of screws that come with it. So we've got some small ones, and then we've got some long ones. So what you want to do is, the long ones are for fans. So they go through the fan case and then into the radiator. They're already pre-mounted, so we don't need to use them. So these can be spare ones for us, which is great. You want to use these small ones in the washers. So when we mount it up here, put the screw through the washer into the frame up here, and that'll hold it into place. It does have heaps of gaps there, so you can slide it along where you want to mount it and then just tighten them so it stays there. So that's what we're going to do next. So we've got the cooler in. So we've adjusted the frame up there. We've mounted that in. We've attached the cooler to the CPU. So when you mount the cooler onto the CPU, just remember to do in a cross pattern when you tighten the screws. You don't want to over tighten it. You want to tighten it so it sits there, it's firm. You don't want to like really crank the things and really slam it on there. So you do it in a cross pattern as you tighten them. So tighten each one so it sits there, it's enough. And then you want to go and tighten one, tighten, tighten, and tighten. Conveniently, it is a Titan cooler as well, pun intended. So now we can move on and add some other parts. All right, so we're going to put our M2 drive in. So on our Aorus motherboard, we've got one there, and then we've got 3 ports under this one. So we've only got one to put in at the moment. We'll grab the other ones out of my old machine another time and chuck them in. But we've got 3 ports here and one here. So we've got one which is the faster one, so we'll chuck it in there. So ideally, when you want to install your M2 drives, the closer ones to the CPU are the faster ports. Realistically, you probably won't notice any difference, but theoretically, the ones closer to the CPU are the faster ports. So we're going to put it in here. So we've got the CS2150 SSD from our friends at PNY, a 1 terabyte one. So these speeds up to 10,200 read speeds and 8,000 write speeds. So super fast. We'll chuck this in, and then we've got the RAM over here as well. Chuck that in. Once that's done, then we'll chuck our GPU in, and then we can do all our power cables, fans, and then we're done. So let's chuck this in and see how it goes. Okay, so we've got our PNY 1 terabyte CS2150. We're going to plug this in. So to install the M2 drives, they just gently plug in at the top here, and then they usually sit on a bit of an angle. So it's like a 30-degree angle. So they sit in there, and then you push it down to click on there. So in here, we'll take this sticker off. So we'll get rid of our sticker, and then we'll mount our, we'll plug it in. So you sort of angle it in till it can sort of click in there, and then it balances by itself. And then once it's lined up, we've got a little hook in here, and then it should just pop in. All right, so put a little bit of pressure in. Now it sits like that, so it's sitting in, and you can feel it sort of grab the teeth down here as well. So once that's done, then you just fold it down a bit, and then undo the hinge, and then it'll click in, and then that's it, it's in, nice and simple. So now that's there. Now we've got the original cover, so we'll put this back on top as the heatsink, and then we'll be good to go. So to install it, we'll hook this little bit in here at the top, and then once that hooks in, so that's on. So we've got the heatsink on there, so that's clicked in. So we put the little lever in, and then it hooks on under there. Push it down, it'll clip in, and then that should be a nice heatsink for our M2 drive. So next we got our graphics card. So we've got to take it out of the old machine, chuck it in here, the 4090. While we're at it, while it's out of the way, we'll chuck our RAM in. So we'll put that in, graphics card, and then we'll see how that goes. Up next, we've got the RAM. So we've got our RAM ready. So with the dual channel RAM, what you want to do is you'll see down here, you probably can't see too well, but if you look up a picture of the motherboard anyway. So it's got A1, A2, B1, B2, and it says to use the B2 and A2 first, so that's what we'll do. So we'll sit them in. So RAM can only go one way, so with these RAM sticks, you'll see the teeth is not even, so it can only fit in one way. So we'll put them in. All right, so what we want to do, we've got our RAM here. So we flick the ends out so it can click in. So we want to just gently place them into the teeth. So here, they'll just gently go in. Make sure you've lined it up so the gap there meets the teeth as well. So it'll just click in. So put a little bit of pressure. Both ends click in. And then we'll grab the other one. Same thing. Line it up the same way. Chuck it in the end. So a little bit of pressure, not a lot. You don't want to snap the motherboard or anything like that. So that looks good. Got our M2 drive. The next one is we've got to grab our graphics card out of the old machine. So we've got to take it all apart, grab the other GPU out, While I'm at it, I might grab my other drives and chuck them in there as well. So let's do that. We'll grab it out, chuck it in, and then we've got to take some plates off here so it can fit as well. So we'll take these plates off, get it in there. We've also got a bracket here, which is the anti-sag bracket. So again, Corsair, well done. It's built into the case, so you don't have to worry about it. So with the 40s and the 50 series, they're quite big, especially when you get like into the 80s and the 90s. So the 40, 80, 40, 90, 50, 80, 50, 90, they're quite big cards, and they have a lot of weight. So you want to have an anti-sag, otherwise, puts too much pressure on the motherboard, which you don't want to do. So we've got the brackets out. I've just taken the other thing out of the machine as well. So what we'll do is we've got our other M2 drives, so we're going to chuck them in here. So we'll put our M2 drives in first, put the cover back on, and then we can put the graphics card in. And then remember, when you've got the GPU, because I've got a 4090, the case also includes the anti-sag here, which you can just move around as much as you need. So once I've put it in, I'll move this up and tighten it, so that way it's got a built-in anti-sag, which is great. Also, because it's a bigger case, I can actually fit it properly, which is fantastic. So we'll put M2 drives, graphics card, mount it up. Once that's done, then we can get our power cables, run our power cables, and then we'll turn it on and install Windows. So let's get that installed and see how it goes. All right, so we've clicked the two in. So these ones are marked as Gen 5, so we've chucked both in there. Then we'll grab our cover, hook it on there. A little bit of pressure till it clicks, and it's on. Nice. All right, now that's clicked in. Now next is the graphics card. We'll move the anti-sag out of the way so we can fit it in there. We'll grab it from over here. Let's put the big monster in there. Down the end here, it's got a clip. So that once it's clicked in here, once you install the graphics card, they'll usually have like a little lip here. So when you click it in, that will connect into here and that will close by itself. So that'll lock it in place so it doesn't move as much. So what we'll do is we'll click it in and then we'll adjust the anti-sag that's down here so it can hold the card in place. So we've got the graphics card in now. So when you do mount the bigger ones, there's a bracket on the back that you have got two of the yellow screws to undo, and you can fold it down. So just an FYI, when you mount the graphics cards, there's little teeth that need to fit in there. So fold that down, put your graphics card in till it clicks in place, and then bring it back up and tighten it in. And then once you've done that, this bracket out, we'll mount two of our fans here, and then we'll mount the other third one up here. So then we'll have an exhaust here. These two will be exhaust going out the top. So you've got your exhaust at the top and the back, and then we've got our intake, the three at the front and the two here. So we've got our cooling air coming in and our hot air going up and out. All right, so we're just putting in the front cabling now. So this is that G connector that was in the motherboard. So with that one, you want to just make sure you get all the cables correct. So the power, LED, reset switch, that kind of stuff. It's all on there, so you match up the wires to the things in here, and then just plug it direct into the motherboard. So we took the GPU out, took the fan bracket out, so that way we've got a bit more room, and then we'll fix all these wires up, and then we'll put the fans back in here, and then once it's all done, then we'll put the GPU back in last. Because it's a big monster, it's in the way, so we thought we'll take it out, make it easier for ourselves, and then we'll go through from there. We did a bit of moving around, and we've got all the components in there now. So what we end up having to do, because the thing ran out of battery, so we switched the cooler to the other side. So we've got the pipes on that side, just so we've got a bit more room. And there's a lot of empty space here, so that's why we switched that around. So we took the graphics card out, took the fans out, and did the cabling down the bottom there. So we've got the fans plugged in from the front, plugged in down there, the USB ports as well from the cooler and the IQ link at the back. So there's actually a cutout on the back of the motherboard, sort of around the middle there. I'll put the video in there. It's a magnetic little cutout to put the actual controller for all the IQ link stuff. So we've got that on the back. So how the fans work is that we've got this fan daisy chained to this one. So there's a cord through the back. So these cords here. So we've got one of these. these running from here down through the back and up behind the motherboard into this one. And then we've got another cord from here run through the back that'll go into the controller onto here. And then up the top here, we've got the CPU. So we've got the Titan all-in-one cooler, which also has one of these ports. So it's iQ-Link compatible, connected up into the cooler up here. So this one, daisy chained into here, and then that cord running through the back into the other side. And then we've got it all powered and stuff on the back as well. So that's all done. Graphics cards in, power. We've got the little anti-sag down there as well. So we've got everything all plugged in. We had to do a little bit of moving around. So once that's all done, now we've just got to power it up and see how it goes. Click the bottom one in. Now we can put the final piece in. So with the glass one here, it's like a little door hinge over at this end. So just slide it in and then gently put it down, clicks in, then we can tighten it up. So we've got all the parts in there now. Cooler, fans, graphics card, power supply at the bottom here. So we've got everything in there, it's all ready to go. We had to move a bit around, which is okay, but now we've got everything set up, all the wires are in, everything's good to go. So now we can just plug it in and turn it on. Let's see if it turns on first go.